So the recording. All right, so it should be recording. Well, my name's Zach Jacobs. I was one of the founders of Fight for Our Funds, and doing my best to try to, hear everyone's stories, and then, put it out there in the public so that everyone can understand your unique situation, what brought you where you're at right now, and how this has affected you, and good, bad, and everything. So if you want, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then just let us know how you got involved and what your involvement looked like.
Hold on a second, Zach. My wife's calling. What do you need?
Sure.
What do you need? What?
I didn't know if you want anything to eat.
No, I'm good. Thank you. All right. Sorry about that. So, I mean, where do you want me to start? I mean, just
why don't you introduce yourself? Yeah, where you at in the country, and then how you got involved. Are you Yada or are you one of the other apps?
I'm through Juno.
Juno. Okay, so where are you at in the world? What's your name, and how did you get?
Yeah, so my name's Gendron. I'm a business owner. I live in Newburgh, Indiana. Well, actually, Oakland City, Indiana. It's about maybe 30 miles north of Evansville. Evansville's third largest city in Indiana. It's on the southern tip of the state, just before you get into Kentucky and Illinois in that tri-state area. And I would say I signed up for Juno maybe 2016. I was just I was looking into high yield savings accounts, and they were pretty attractive. They were right around the 5% interest rate for the whole balance. So I got myself involved in it. Started off just putting my normal savings in there, and probably accumulated close to 41,000 total. I guess when I noticed that there was some kind of thing going on was maybe in January or February, because I was pretty religious on checking my balances to see if I was getting, balances were correct, and checking to see
January or February of 2025.
No, I want to say, when did the accounts freeze up? I want to say it was, my time is lost, but I mean, I'll have to look at my my app, because I still have the app, and that will tell me exactly when. But I would say maybe 2023. I would say. Okay. Maybe even, let me just check this to know for sure, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing.
Yeah, the longer this is dragged on, the more the dates have blurred together.
Yes, absolutely. That's I just kind of, I don't want to say I'm giving up on it, but I just said, well, if we get the money, we get the money, but I don't want to pour any money into it to try to get money,
Yeah.
That's just not right. I was just like any other person. I thought it was a savings account. I saw FDIC. That was the big seller, right? FDIC, and like I said, I was, religiously watching the account grow, and especially on, I want to say it's either the 1st or the 15th of the month, they would show you your interest that you accumulated for that month. And when I saw that I was only getting like $20 out of my whole balance, I knew something was wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then, of course, you called Juno. I don't know if you're a Juno owner or Yada owner.
It was Yada. I was
involved. Yada, okay. And I've heard of Yada, but I didn't really, wasn't really attracted to them, because they just sound like it was more of a gimmick thing with the lottery that they were offering. And that wasn't really attractive to me. I was like, I just want a plain old savings account, that
Yeah.
I can log in on my app. So, anyhow, let me just pull up the account here. So, okay, May of 2024 is the last time I had access to my funds. Okay, that's when it froze. And I noticed it on, I want to say, okay, so February of 2024 is when I saw my interest rate go way down. So just give you example, February 17th of 2024, my interest accumulated for the balance was $145, and that's not right. Let me just find that again. Let me see here. Okay, so bonus for December. So that's basically your interest that you've accumulated was $161.62. So then roll to, okay, so January, $173.18. And then February, $166.66. And then in March, it was 180.72. That was the peak, was March. And after that, I started seeing, well, what was I getting as far as I was only getting, so in April, I only got $20.55.
Big drop.
Big drop. So I said, whoa, what's the deal? So then I called Juno, went through the, normal channels. What happened? And they couldn't really tell me other than read your terms of agreement. So I read the terms of agreement, and they changed the terms of agreement. They said, okay, we were only honoring 5% for the first $5,000 in the account. Everything else, 0. So I said, okay, 2 can play that game. So I started withdrawing my money. I said, I'm going to take my money out. I'm not making any money here. So I made my first $10,000 withdrawal and put it in another account.
And so that took you from 41 to 31?
Correct.
Okay.
And then that went through. It takes about a week for it to process. And then I said, okay, well, let's just do $1,000 increments weekly till I get all my money out. So I took $1,000 out on April 19th. I took $2,000 out on May 1st, and then $2,000 out in May 8th. So the next week after that was when it completely froze. So May is when my account was completely locked out. It was basically saying you can't withdraw any more money. And, so I went through the rigmarole of calling them, saying what in the world is going on. And then, so total loss right now, I'm at $28,508.44.
Along the way, when they did some distributions of newfound funds, did you ever receive a penny out of those?
No, they offered the reconciliation, and it was 0. It was 0. When you look at when you go to the account balance through Juno, it's correct, because I went through it step by step, and but they didn't offer me a penny.
Wow.
And I wouldn't have took a penny. I was like, no, I want it all.
Yeah, I had a check for $100, and I don't even know where it is. But the second I saw it, I said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
It kind of wish I would have kept it.
Even worse, right? You're out like 60,000-70,000 or something.
It was quite a bit, but
Yeah.
I'm probably about 90% of the way back.
Oh, really?
I really lucked out. Yeah, along the way, they're like, oh, by the way, we found like
Mm-hmm.
a huge part of your balance. So it was pretty hopeless for quite a while there. And then I got a good deal of it back. But then, I think something that has eaten me up is I was a pretty big advocate. So I got my
Right.
friends to sign up.
Right.
My wife signed up, her
Right.
friend. So my wife hasn't, I think she got like 20 cents and she had a
Uh,
couple $1,000s on there.
uh,
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
I even asked for they asked can you get the line by line, uh, transfers and stuff from Evolve. So I got that little thing, and that didn't make sense at all because that ledger shows that I'm like negative $10,000 withdrew. And I was like,
I think that it's a mystery we can't solve because I think we're never going to have the full picture.
yeah.
I can't tell you, I've spent the amount of nights and days and nights I spent trying, like Sherlock Holmes, trying to solve the mystery of where the money is. And I'm afraid, I'm afraid that that's a trail that we'll never get to the end of, but I do think someone will.
Oh, yeah. I would have hoped so. I mean, I'm right now, I think I called one of the law firms, I think Arnold.
Yeah.
And they, I only heard from them one other time, so I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm part of the class action, so I'm hoping to get something back. I mean, this is it's been mostly my money, but I had my mother, she gave me like $22,000 to invest in it. She's like, oh, 5% on the whole account, I'll sign up,
Oh.
And on top of that, I haven't even told her yet, because yeah, and I don't want to unless she asks.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing, Zach, I'm going to pretty much eat it because I did get, out of all that, I probably got recouped. Right now I have like right around 22,000, out of the 41. But yeah, I haven't told her because I don't want to give her more stress. And
yeah,
I mean, she's 77, so it's
mom never needs to know. Mom,
no.
Make sure mom gets her money.
Unless if she asks for it, I'm gonna give it to her, and then I'll just be out of the money. But
well, you're a good son. You're that is the correct answer to the question.
Yeah.
Where's your? I mean, are you under the impression that you'll probably get something, probably won't be everything, or are you in the camp of we will probably get nothing? Like, where's your head at right now? Assuming that you're like, hey, class action law firms can chase after it if they want, but I'm gonna keep living.
Yeah, I really think that I'm hoping to get something back because it's just so over the top of how are people getting away with this?
Yeah.
I mean, how can a company say that they're FDIC and then go, oh no, we're not really,
Yeah.
Somebody has to be accountable for this. And I just don't know I just really didn't know so much about fintechs, and now I'm really kind of nervous about even, touching fintechs anymore. I do still have a couple high yield savings account, but I don't think they're fintechs. I think they're truly, big box banks, that I can get my money, and not have to worry about it. So,
I've never run to a Chase bank so fast in my life.
Oh yeah.
I was,
Yeah. I have so the other accounts I have are UFB out of California, and they have a pretty good, interest rate. And they, other than, it's really kind of hard to get a hold of somebody from tech support that has any answers. They've been pretty good. As far as, if I needed to get money out, I got it pretty quickly, I got it within 2 or 3 days. I didn't have to, and they were pretty good about security with, the 2-part authentication. And, every single time you call them, you have to make sure they make sure you are you and not somebody else. And so that I kind of like that. But other than that,
Well, I appreciate you sharing your story. I mean, I think the hardest hitting part of it is mom's money, but I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I mean, it's.
Oh, she's doing well. I don't know if she'll ever ask for it, but she did ask one time, how is that investment going? I was like, it's going.
Yeah,
but she's not hurting for it. I mean, she's got probably, she's pretty well off on retirement. She's got probably close to $200,000 just sitting, and she's just living off of Social Security and another of her retirement funds. So she kind of lives off of that. She lives with me. We built her a little apartment next to our house that kind of conjoins, and we get, she's basically got all of her amenities. We pay for her, her electric, her, all her utilities basically. She doesn't have to pay anything. The only thing she pays for is if she has to buy, like a big ticket, thing. Like we bought her a bed because she didn't want to buy a new bed. She's like, there's nothing wrong with this one. I was like, no, Mom, this bed's harder to rock. You need to buy a new bed. It's like, that's probably why you're not sleeping well, And so we went and bought her a bed, and then it's like, well, we bought the bed, but you need to pay for it. You got enough money. you know.
We got you a bed. Please write me a check
I
for
mean,
it.
I pay her cell bills. She's on the family plan. So she doesn't have any bills other than, her, medical bills that she has to deal with every once in a while. Yeah. But she's sitting pretty good. I think.
No, that's good. Well, we love hearing that. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story. I think
Zach.
It is. Everyone has their own unique version, and it's interesting. We're experiencing it at the same time, but it's really interesting to hear everyone's perspective on it.
Were you able to interview the one lady that she's like over 170,000 or something like that?
Not yet. I think of the Kayla. Some people. So I've spoken with a handful of people who lost, arguably the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of them are I had introduced some of them into the law firms that started the class action. But I think anyone who gets tied up into being one of the named members of those class actions, they probably won't be open to talk.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I talked to someone who was out around 300,000.
Oh my goodness. There's someone that's 300 grand down.
Yeah.
A person, just one signal person?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then there's obviously the girl Kayla who sold her house, and when she was waiting to buy the next house and put the proceeds, it makes you absolutely sick. And then everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, follow along. I'll share with you once we start posting these videos. But I've heard a lot of stories. I've heard a lot of heartbreaking stories, and then I've heard a lot of it stinks. So, I think we're really the full spectrum of people were affected here, and it's not one group of people. It's like people from all walks of life. So I'll share once we start posting this, and this one should be posted in a couple days. And
are you posting this on your website, the Fight for Our Funds?
Yeah, it'll probably go everywhere on
Okay.
Reddit, YouTube, on the website. It'll probably just get linked everywhere. The hope is that news and media can see this, and rather than spend their days trying to find someone to respond to them on Reddit, we have all these great stories ready to go for them. So help continue to keep the word out and continue to stay in front of, the media.
Yeah, I never got any direction from the law firm about, saying anything about anything.
Yeah.
I just said, what's right's right. I don't care about the legalese part of it. I just like, I like your statement. You said it's a bank robbery in reverse.
I'm glad you like that. That was one of my favorite lines.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Reverse
It's
bank
really
robbery.
it's really insane how it's dragged on for this long, and and I just don't understand how it can happen in this day and age.
Yeah.
I really don't. So
agreed.
So I'm hopeful that we can get something back, but if we don't, then it is what it is. I think I'm a religious person, so God's got me. Whatever I have, whatever happens, it happens.
Yeah.
But
that's a good way to look at it. And I have a 1-year-old who needs a bath right now, so I'm probably going to get myself into some hot water if I don't get out of here. So
yeah, absolutely.
Rod, it's great chatting with you. I appreciate your story. I'll send you this video once it's posted.
Okay, Zach.
All
Have
right.
a good day. Okay.
You too. See ya.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.